Welcome. I'm Danielle Sally.
And I'm Eva Fusa.
And you're listening to Ghost Boss, stories about the freelance afterlife. Hey, ghosties.
Hey.
How are you, Eva?
Oh, God. It's fine. We just had a 30-minute sound check and it was terrible, but I'm all right. I'm here.
I mean, I say we get better, but at least it wasn't our 1 hour sound check. So we are improving.
It wasn't, and it does seem to be, we both switched to the app and not recording through the browser, and that seemed to help us both. So I don't know. Riverside's trying to push us towards their app, which is fine, but I don't know. It was real,
I do
it
like
was real
it,
bumpy.
but
It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, we're here, guys. We're here. Hello.
Yeah, hello. So we were just chatting because it's funny because we set up a regular day to schedule, and last season we did this. We talked about this. We said we had Mondays, and then I think about halfway through the season we said, you know what? I don't like recording on Mondays. You said you didn't either. I think we just flat out forgot that because this year, once we switched from recording in studio to recording at home, we said, hey, our Mondays look fine. Let's record on Mondays. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you all, don't record on Mondays. This is
it's awful.
Vibe.
No,
we're moody Monday.
I'm so stressed out right now, and I almost texted her to move it, but I was like, God, we're recording in 15 minutes. So I was like, I don't want to do that so last minute, but I'm so stressed out right now. It's going to be fine. We're going to record. It's going to be great. But we're not going to record on Mondays anymore. This is trash. I don't know why we did this. I'm over it.
It is funny. I've had quite a few people that are like, I do not understand how you do all the things you do. And I always appreciate that. And I take it as a compliment that apparently I don't look as stressed on the outside that I feel. And they think I'm able to just fit it all in. But I feel like this sound check was a good example of how stressful it is to fit it all in.
Well, I trauma dump on everybody when I see them. So I think people are impressed that I get so much done, but they aren't unclear about my level of stress about how I do it. Nobody's unclear when Eva's stressing.
Fair.
You can just see it on my face.
I have a select group of people I will trauma dump on, but it's not everyone. Oh, no. Uber drivers, anybody who I'm a friend with. Oh my God, Megan invited me over. Our friend Megan invited me over to watch a basketball game over the weekend, and I walk in her door and I just start with everything that's happened to me last week, and then I walk into her living room because I didn't realize there are other people there, and I'm just running my yap about everything that's wrong with me. I don't know any other way. It's fine. It's fine. I think it's normal.
I don't know that it's normal, but it's a thing that I do, and it's fine. It's just, if I like you or not, because do you know my secrets?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like you tell everyone your trauma.
Well, that's the thing. If I've never told you my trauma or my secrets, it means I don't like you.
But you just said you tell your Uber driver.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, you get good Uber drivers then.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Anyways, that's what's happening with me.
Yep. So on the note, though, of just stress and exhaustion, one of the things that we find super exhausting as business owners is this need to constantly come up with content. And every single week, Eva and I, we try to plan out as best as we can, but we are busy. We have businesses that we run on the side of doing that. And we're constantly, we text each other every single week and we say, what are we going to talk about? What's next? And I feel like it's the idea of just having to come up with content constantly is exhausting. And that's more, it's not just the podcast, it's social media and marketing yourself and all the things. And I kind of looked at you, I was like, well, we can just talk about this, how exhausting it is to come up with content every single week. And I think that's okay because everyone's struggling with it.
I just don't do it. I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to contribute.
You do it on here, though.
I do. And so I used to be better about social content. I used to be better about updating my website. I used to be better about marketing myself. I will say this, part of it is because I'm incredibly fortunate that I've just had a tremendous amount of work available to me lately. And so I haven't had to go looking for work recently.
Yeah.
And so like, it's two things, right? Like, because I'm not hurting for work right now, it's easy to let marketing fall off. And then two, I'm busy doing the work, right? And I'm also a little spoiled because we have Ghost Boss and I get tagged in everything. So like there's stuff on my business page. I just didn't make any of it. I mean, I talked, but I didn't prep that file. So yeah, I mean, some students asked us last week like how important it was. And I was like, it is important. I just don't do it.
It's super important. And I added to that and I said to them, you know, especially when we were hiring for people and we're looking at resumes, I always found the people that are super good just never have their stuff up to date because they're just so busy. And that's true. Nothing's harder than keeping your own work up to date. I launched my website right when I was launching my company to announce, hey, I'm going to be doing my own thing now. And let me tell you, I have not updated that website since I launched it July 1, 2023. Has not been updated.
I've updated a few things, not in the last couple of years. I've updated since I launched. But yeah, busy people don't have time to do it. It's kind of like how I've always been told like doctors are the worst patients, right?
Yeah,
like, or
for sure.
The cobbler has no shoes, right? That sort of thing. Like I do this all day for everybody else. I just don't think about doing it for myself. Like, I'm tired. I wonder if you had this experience. So I've had two logos. I have one logo now, but I decided to start my business and I had a networking event in 2 days. And so I was like, I guess I got to make a logo and rush print some business cards. Right. And I did that. And so there's nothing wrong with my first logo. It's fine. I like my second logo better. But both times when I worked on a tight crunch and then when I had time to really like work on my logo, I felt so lost. It was so hard to market.
Right? Yes, myself. I agree.
And so did you feel that way when you were making your branding?
I've redone my logo. And this was before I started my company, but I have done at least 5-6 versions because I could never figure out something that I loved. And then when I decided this is going to be a company, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at everything I'd done previously and was like, maybe I need to do the opposite. Maybe I need to do something I've never haven't done anything like these. Like I kept seeing the same patterns that I was doing. I'm like, I need to get away from what I've been doing and just go with a new look. And I love what I came up with now. Like I love my branding now. I think it is a very true representation of me and my company. And I'm very happy with it. But before it took so long for me to finally even get to a point where it's like, oh, I like this. And and it's amazing that it's been 2 years and I still love it. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, I like my stuff. I mean, the color palette looks like the color palette in a lot of my house. Like those are my like blues and greens are like some of my favorite colors. And I always like handwritten fonts, like paired with more traditional looking fonts. So like that, I mean, it is very aligned with things that I like. And I like my branding. If I didn't like it, I would change it again. But I just remember sitting down and I was like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Exactly.
I don't know where to start.
Exactly. But even like just trying to come up with the content for this, I just feel like every single week rather, it is just like, I don't know, I get so exhausted. But going back, one of the students brought up when they asked us about that, and they asked marketing ourselves, I did say to them, I feel like in today's age that it is more important to keep social up to date. Really LinkedIn more than anything. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But keep social up to date and stay active on it than your website up to date. I mean, you still wanted to make sure it's active, but I feel like social, a lot of times now, social's where they're going to first.
Yes, for sure. And I think we mentioned this then, like they're at a time where they're doing a lot of work, a lot of work that they can show. I mean, we talked a little bit about how we can't always show our professional work either due to NDAs or because we're working with clients that for whatever reason, they don't want us to put their work or put our work for them in our portfolio. Or, sometimes it's just the boring stuff that pays the bills. But really, when you're a student, when you're first starting out, you should be cranking out like a lot of stuff that would be prime, like showcasing work. So, they're kind of in a prime time for that. And also, I think it's important, like if you have like maybe you're just starting out or maybe you've got a downturn or whatever, that's when you should like preload all your stuff. And like I had some like kind of dry spells earlier on where like I started my business and then it was like COVID and then I didn't really have a lot of work and then I got a bunch of work and then I had another lull. And that's when like I redid a bunch of stuff on my website and I redid my logo because I had the time to do it. And
exactly.
I hope desperately that I do not have time to do it anytime soon.
I know, right?
Slow. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And we've said that before to people because they're like, what do you do if you don't have that much work going on? And I think both of us were like, you work on marketing yourself. Like, you're never going to have time to update your website and think about all this stuff of marketing yourself when it's just you and your company. Do that when you actually have a lull in work. That's when you do it.
Yes. Yes, literally. Like, update your website. Pre-schedule a bunch of social. I did it more than once. I've done this. I pre-scheduled social, just projects that I've worked on that I'm proud of months out. Right. And just, and then, so do that. I mean, a lot of this stuff is very, timeless and you can, I think I kind of stopped being good about this last year, but I used to post things about like, designers that I liked, or where do I find inspiration, or like what was the first, like what's a little bit of my origin story, right? Like what were the first like really influential things for me as a designer. And so there's always stuff like that you can come up with. I just don't have time I barely had time to pull my taxes together. So,
and I'd say that's more important.
It is more important, but yeah. So, and if you don't know what to do, I mean, like look at other accounts and see what they're up to. I mean, I threw some prompts into ChatGPT once to generate some content ideas. Yeah. So like, there's lots of different ways to go about it, but yeah, if you've got time, if you've got a little bit of downtime, whatever, you should focus on marketing yourself because then hopefully you will be fortunate enough to be busy shortly after that. And
exactly.
You can pre-bank some of that stuff.
Yeah. I think the best situation that happened is you don't have time to update your own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. People, and it was somebody asked last week, I think they were specifically asking about like some of the not sexier work that I do, like the really like specific kind of B2B stuff that like does not make sense in a big open public forum. And they were like, so how do potential clients see that? And I was like, oh, they ask. And so that's another thing. Like clients will ask me, they'll see my website and they'll be like, do you have something similar to blah, blah, blah that maybe isn't on your site? And I often do. And so I pull the pitch deck or I pull the final art files or whatever. And so I'm able to send that to them. So, there's ways to do it like that as well. But But yeah, this is a whole episode about something I don't do that I know I should do. I'm sorry.
Well, you say that, but like take your head out of social. Because when I was thinking of this topic that we need to talk about it, I was really thinking about just the idea of having to constantly come up with content for the podcast. And it kind of bleeds into all this other stuff too. But it's like this in and of itself is the very same concept of trying to make sure, like, what content are we going to put on social media? We have to think of content for this podcast all the time. And people ask us why we do the podcast. A lot of it's just because it's fun. It's a good creative outlet. But the other part is, it is marketing. It is advertising both of our businesses. Yes. So I try to make sure we're constantly putting stuff out there, but like knowing that we do have to think about content every single week on top of what we do every day. It's exhausting.
It's a lot. And that's why like the podcast, I like doing it. And I like that we have, like, we can naturally talk about a lot of stuff because we can just show up and be like, all right, let's do this. And we can usually make an episode out of it. So it is, it's content, but it's relatively relative to a lot of things. It is content that it doesn't involve me researching something for 2 hours, right? Like this is not a podcast because there are lots of those out there where they do 2, 3, 4 hours of research to prepare for the podcast. And I was like, God, like, so that's why sometimes y'all, like, these aren't always like, people are like, you should talk more about design stuff. I'm like, well, sometimes I'm tired and I'm here. We're just going to talk about
we're doing a lot. Okay. Yeah. I'll see a lot of posts on social that are basically other business owners. And it's almost kind of just making fun of like, little did I know I'd have to dance on TikTok when I said I'd become a business owner, because that's what's going to take off. Right. And we haven't had any reels of us dancing, and I don't want to get to that point. I don't think that'd be good for either of us, but it's constantly having to look at what's trending on social and trying to see that overlap of, okay, what's trending, but what's also very much in line with what you and I do, because it doesn't necessarily make sense to me to hop on every single trend, because that's tiring. That's even more exhausting. But there are some trends and I'm like, okay, that one's actually in line with what Eva and I do. So maybe that would be a good example of one. But man, Eva, do I have time to scroll on social and look at these trends? No, I do not. I don't have time to figure all this stuff out.
And you have to be so fast with them. It makes me think about like when big corporate brands jump on trends, and and I get it. I totally understand what happened. But when you have platforms like TikTok that move so fast and are so fast, and like the algorithm is so specific, and some of these trends are so like almost micro trends, like they're so targeted that they're in and out in a matter of days, right?
Yeah.
And then these national brands try to capitalize on them, and just the bureaucracy within like a large company, you probably can't get higher up, like a meeting for higher up approval in the time that this has come and gone, let alone securing talent, assessing whether or not this is right for your brand. Are you going to do the exact trend? Are you going to do something different? And so then that always makes me think about, and this is something that like I don't have any experience with, but like when you hire your social media teams, like how much do you empower them to just take stuff and run with it? And how much do you how much of these checks and balances that we're used to, that we've had campaigns. If you're doing a full scale ad campaign, there is time built in for steps and approval and all that kind of stuff. But like, how are agencies and like, and large brands changing that structure so that they can stay relevant on something like TikTok? I don't know.
Especially when, if your agency doing it for the client, Not only are you trying to get approval from within, you also have to get approval from the client. And it is, you have to move so fast. And sometimes some of the hardest things, I just remember even social, like to get approval to just post something can take forever. So like to do it so quick, I do always wonder, like, did they just have it in their contract that they have that liberty to just see? Like it's either it's going to go viral or you get fired, right? So you might as well take the risk. No.
This is why I don't work in social media. This is why I stick to my little corporate stuff in the corner where it's fine to take 2 or 3 weeks to approve a social media post because there's nothing timely about it. So it's no big deal. Yeah. I always think about that. Like I just, it's interesting. I'm going to start paying attention to when I think it's done fast and well. Yeah. Because like I'll see it done well, but it wasn't done fast enough, or I see it done fast and I don't think it's done great. But there's definitely some brands that have done it. None are coming to mind, but I'm going to start paying attention to that and mention it.
Well, I remember one, I think it was a Super Bowl and the power went out. Everything went dark. And I believe, I can't remember the exact ad now. I believe Oreo was like the first one to post something on social. And I just remember being most impressed with how quickly they pushed that out there. Like to the point, it's like, did Oreo turn the lights out? Because how did they prepare so well, so quickly? Right. And it was so good. Right. And I'm like, how did they do that in that amount of time? But I also like good for them. But I'm sure with things like Super Bowl, they probably have a little bit more liberty of like, hey, things are going to happen in the moment and we have to be able to react to them and post things that are very much relevant to what's going on. So that might be just kind of a different situation. But still, I was just so impressed with the speed of it all. But I get exhausted thinking about whoever's sitting behind that keyboard having to do that so quickly.
Well, that makes me think like everybody was already on call and online. So like, you might not always be sitting at your computer at 9:00 on a Sunday night. And I think about like how I never took any PR classes. Like, I mean, I understand enough about PR just working for as long as I have, but PR is not my background. And, out of PR, you have crisis communications, which is all about like just jumping in and moving fast and doing the right thing without a whole lot of lead time and all that kind of stuff. And I just think about like social media is part of that for sure. But sometimes like you need that same skill set and it's not a crisis. It's not like a PR nightmare. You have to have that same skill set for like fun and light and interest, like cool stuff, and not just like somebody said something bad and now we have to go deal with it for the next 4 days.
Yeah. I feel like every year on my annual reviews, I would bring up like, I enjoy working with PR team. I enjoy working with the crisis teams. I just find it like, I enjoy them. I find the work so exhausting. And it's just one of those, like, I don't think I'm built to handle working on it because I would get so emotionally drained just trying to produce stuff that quickly. And I think there's definitely certain people that are just made for that. And they can do it. And it's just, for me, it was just never something I really enjoyed. It would drain me. I get exhausted. It was just the constantly push stuff out quickly. And and even in that case, I was creating all the visuals for everything. So it wasn't even, I had to come up with what to say. They were doing all of that, but it was like, okay, but we need all of these assets to go with what we're pushing out, and we need it in an hour. And it's like, oh man, I am just not made for this level of stress.
Coming from a healthcare background, I've had some situations where I had to be like, I was sitting there cranking stuff out fast and it's going out right now. I can do it. I can do it in small spurts. I can't live like that, but I can I can do it. And I kind of liked it. Like the adrenaline was really fun. And it was cool, but like, I can only do it. I couldn't build a whole career off that. And that makes me think about, I've been watching, The Pit, like this new show on Max, and it's about like people who work in the ER. And there's this episode where they're talking about like, why did we go into emergency medicine? And one of the doctors is like, because we all have ADHD, and like the adrenaline is what we live off of. Like we can't go just be, like a general practitioner or a pediatrician, because like the speed and the pace, which is what we thrive off of, isn't there. And I think about that. Are people in PR and like crisis communication?
No, God,
like the ER honestly, doctors.
You just said that, and I'm sitting here like you just described perfectly everyone that works in an agency. We just had this desire to, and I loved it for so long, and I still enjoy it, but in just like not 24-hour doses like I used to. And that's why I think I still work with a lot of agencies, because I still enjoy it so much. But when I was there, all of us were like, let's go. And I've had this conversation with people who have left agencies to do other things. And it's like, now this is all it's kind of messed up our workflow a little bit. Because now if we don't have that rush, it's like, well, I have all the time in the world. I don't need to work on it right now. It almost messes up our workflow a little bit. So, and that's been a huge part of me going from agency speed to what I'm doing now. And I still have stuff that I got to produce quickly, but it's nowhere near what I was doing when I was at an agency. So it is this interesting little mind game, if you will.
Yeah. And I think different industries will lend themselves that way too. Like somebody once said to me, well, I want to work somewhere fast paced. And like, I like the idea of having tight deadlines. So I'm not interested in in-house work. And I was like, oh girl, don't you worry.
No, they'll find things.
Somebody will bring you. Yeah. Like I was like, I used to work for a lobbyist. I think I wasn't asked to turn stuff in an hour because they had to present it at the State House. Like it's definitely there. And I think certain industries will lean itself more towards that. I mean, certainly healthcare. You want fast pace, you go work for politicians. I've worked for several politicians, and I'm getting calls about turning stuff like now. Yeah. And there's certain industries that just are slower, right? Typically family law as a client, nothing urgent. I mean, they have urgent things in court, but they don't have anything urgent for their like Instagram.
Right. Exactly.
So certain industries lean itself towards that. Manufacturing, not typically anything that's got to be done right this second.
Yeah.
But healthcare, sometimes education has to respond to some things kind of quickly for social because they're so public facing. But politics for sure, they'll come at you, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, fine.
Calm down.
Calm down, but also, all right, I got it.
I'll do it. It's fine. All right. Well, that was our topic about stressing out of coming up with topics.
That's right. And I just basically said, I don't do any of the things I'm supposed to do. Hello.
Yeah. It's fine. And you know what? We're not going to do it next week either, because we are going to take a week off for spring break, and then we'll come back out the week after that. So you can use that time to catch up on any old episodes you haven't heard yet.
That's right. Or update your website when you're normally dedicating all your time and attention to Ghost Boss. I know you set aside time for us every single week. Set that side of time.
Always.
And work on your website. Always. I know you just you don't do anything else when you're listening to us.
No, nothing.
Sit down and absorb it all. I know. Update your website while we take a break.
And with that, we will be back in 2 weeks.
That's right. We'll talk to y'all then.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Ghost Boss Podcast. And also please like and review us on your favorite podcast app.